So let's welcome in Kyle Davidson, first time on the show. Kyle, good to see you, man. I appreciate you giving us time in a hectic time for any NHL general manager or club.
No, I'm happy to be here. It's good to see you again. I haven't seen you in a little while, and glad to be on the show.
Well, look, we're going to put you right to work because the fact that we get a general manager on our show to kind of give us a little bit of insight into how this works, because we all like to sit at our computers and as Jonny alluded to earlier, we all like to play be a GM mode on our gaming consoles and on our Twitter feeds. But to get your perspective on things, Kyle, it seems like every year there's one trade that sets everything off. It's like that domino effect. So I'm just curious, are you surprised that yesterday seemed to be the igniter where the dominoes started falling and we started seeing all these big names come off the board that we thought might not happen for another 48 hours?
Yes and no. I think some of it is I'm sure it's coincidence that they all kind of happen, because trades like the ones that happened yesterday they're not reactive. They're not born out of someone seeing someone else do something and we got to do something. There's probably tons of conversation that goes into those, tons of planning, thought that goes into one, asking price if you're a seller, buying, what your threshold is for paying a certain price if you're a buyer. And so it's likely more so just a coincidence they all happen at the same time. But, we're getting towards that time, around the deadline, that this sort of stuff is going to happen. You're going to have this push of deals. And I feel more and more over the last few years, deals are happening a little further out from deadline. That's just my impression. I haven't looked that up, but it just feels like they're happening sooner, right? You had the Monahan and Lindholm deals happen pretty early on. Mm-hmm. And then, yesterday was a couple of days out where you had this flurry of pretty intense activity. So yeah, we'll see what happens over the next couple of days. But yesterday was, even just as a fan of the sport, I can tell that people are excited and intrigued by what's going on.
Even last year too, Kyle, you think about Bo Horvat going right before All-Star break, and then that happens this year, like you said, with Lindholm. But something I'm curious about with you guys specifically in Chicago, you played Tuesday, you're off until Saturday. Is that almost beneficial for you this time of year to not have the games in between as a distraction? Like you can kind of just be on the phones basically for the next 3-4 days?
Yeah, the clearing of the schedule, even just, the freedom of not having to, worry about, especially if I think back to last year where we made a lot more moves. You're worried about, injuries, lineups for that night, if something may come up right before a game, that kind of thing. And so, if there's no games and you have a little break like we do this year, it's certainly convenient. It makes things much easier as opposed to if you're playing every other night and you're working the phones and not knowing how things are going to materialize or when. That definitely complicates things if there's games kind of all along the way. So yeah, it's having no games in the lead up to the deadline is nice. I don't believe I experienced that the last 2 years when we were very, very active, but it is what it is. And so yeah.
Of course, the year you're not active, you get the nice break.
Yeah, well, we'll see. It's still early, but it's certainly not. It's been the lead up anyways, certainly not like it was last 2 years. Yeah.
You don't have to worry about any first ballot Hall of Famers waiving no trade clauses this year, looking for new teams and giving you a big list of one to make those deals happen. So
I want to thank you for that one, by the way. That was nice to have him here for a little bit.
No, Kyle, will you bring your team together? Obviously, Norm McIver is a huge part of your team. Megan Hunter, I've seen the way that you operate really up close and personal. You were always so generous about sharing your time and your knowledge with me when I was there in Chicago and just kind of letting me see the inside a little bit. So I see how you delegate. You're more of a all hands on deck type of leader. But will you guys get around the table tomorrow and be in the same room and shut the door? Or is it sort of a divide and conquer situation where someone might be out on the road doing some last minute scouting or bringing other people in? Like, what's the strategy for you? And maybe how is it evolving? Because this is, you've been, I guess you were interim GM 2 years ago, right? As well. So this would be your third trade deadline now as general manager, right?
No, this is my second. So I was interim and I was made full-time right before the deadline 2 years ago. So I think like 2 weeks or something before the deadline. So I was full-time, but this is my this will be my third deadline as GM. But it does change, but it doesn't. I've been involved in a lot. I wasn't general manager, but I've been involved in many trade deadlines up to the point when I was the manager. And so I like having everyone in the same room. I like having everyone together. You can talk through scenarios. A lot of the times you've already talked through them a million times, but everyone's in one spot. If you need someone for, a contact with the league, they're there. If you need someone for the cap, they're there. If you need someone for scouting information, they're there, or if we need to call someone about a player or a prospect or what have you, you can delegate that out, but everyone's there and they're all around the table with you. And so I prefer everyone, especially those times when split second decisions are deadlines catching up with me here. Split second decisions are sort of the norm around, especially right towards the end at the deadline. You want everyone there and you want everyone to be locked in with you, in what you're trying to execute there. And so I prefer to have everyone around. Not a huge group. I think, a big group can be a little distracting as well, but you have the necessary people with the necessary subject matter expertise around the table. And that's kind of how I like to operate it.
So I want to ask you this question that we have from one of our listeners in the chat. And I just want to say this to everybody watching right now. GMs and coaches, they don't comment on other teams' players or other teams' moves. I actually don't think you're really even allowed to do that. So we're not ignoring your questions that you're asking us about how Kyle feels about other teams' trades, but I just don't think I don't think you're even allowed to really, respond and talk about other players for the most part. But the question that we did get, and obviously we knew this was going to come up, it's about Connor Bedard. And Jim the Swede, who actually always asks good questions in the chat, he asked us, you drafted this generational talent in Connor Bedard. Is there anything that has impressed you this year about him that you really are surprised by, or that you didn't know about him before he started to wear that beautiful Chicago Blackhawk jersey and, got under your watchful eye?
I don't know if there's anything that surprised me. It's more so, we did, obviously, as you do, a lot of work getting to know Connor and making sure we had a really good handle on who he was as a person, obviously as a player coming into the organization. But and you hear about the work, you hear about the time he puts in, but being around it, it's just when you see it, it's different than someone telling you. And he, like, every day, shooting pucks, if he's in the gym, he's getting extra work in, after practice. It's just nonstop. And I think that's the key to someone that wants to be great or is great or has the potential to be great, is that consistency. It's over and over and over again. It's that work rate is just relentless. And that will and desire to improve is absolutely nonstop. And so I think that's the one thing that I don't know if it surprised me, but it's just, you see it every day, and it's very, very impressive.
I heard he was in the gym in the hotel at draft weekend in Nashville. Like, he's just nonstop. The guy's unbelievable.
I heard that too. Yeah, I think that was day 2. I had heard that him and one of our I think the other player we had drafted in the first round, Oliver Moore, apparently
he's
on
stud.
day 2 they were in the gym together during day 2 of the draft. So that's what I heard. I don't have firsthand account of that or knowledge, but I was told that that's what was going on. So Yeah.
I got the chance to interview both of them after the first round in Nashville, and Oliver Moore, I think, gets a little bit overshadowed too. Like, he is such a great kid. Also, I think the two of them, not only on the ice, but what they're gonna do, like their personalities off of it for Chicago. Like, I'm really excited to see that, and I kind of wanted to lead into this question as well. I know it's a little bit far in advance, but you guys have the Winter Classic at Wrigley next year, and Colby and I kind of broke down the fun outfits and whatnot at the Stadium Series in Jersey this, past month or so ago. Is that something that, I mean, I know you're not thinking about it now, but is that something that you kind of advertise? You want the players to have fun with it? And if so, like, I don't know what a Chicago style would be to walk into an arena. Like, what do you think the guys would even think about wearing?
I have no idea. We were kind of thinking about that when we saw some of the, was it the New Jersey and the Rangers and those guys walking in? Yeah, we were kind of bouncing that around. Like, what would it be, for ours? I have no clue. But maybe some, like Prohibition era outfits or something like that. But I don't know. I guess we'll let the players and other people decide that. I'm not a big fashion guy. I don't know what I certainly wouldn't be making the suggestion. Let's just put it that way. But no, I think it's great. You celebrate kind of the whether it's the history or what have you of your city and of the town that your team's from. And so I think that's kind of, maybe it's becoming one of these new things for the outdoor games with the walk-ins. And no, I'm all for it. I think it's really fun. And if the players want to do it, then I'm good with it. So.
Yeah,
I'd love to hear that.
I think 3 of the 4 teams knocked it out of the park. The Rocky outfits, the Flyers, the Fila jumpsuits, the Devils, the Rangers with the FD. I mean, they killed it this year. Yeah. We were so disappointed in the Islanders and old school Lou that they didn't do anything. And I can tell you this, I know Kyle Davidson well enough to know he is not going to tell the players they cannot have fun with it and dress up. I would bet my mortgage on that. That's not Kyle's style. I feel like I can speak for you in saying that, Kyle, because it is a huge part of the personality of it. And I know you're all for that type of stuff.
Yeah, no, I think it's fun. I think it's a fun event. But I also look, there's ways of doing things, and I respect everyone's way of doing things. And it's certainly, to each their own, and with the Blackhawks, we'll definitely, I think, let the players decide what, or whoever, I don't know who even comes up with those ideas, but as a collective, we'll decide what the players are comfortable with or what they want to do, and we'll kind of go from there. But I think it's an opportunity to have a little fun, a little showmanship, and why not? It's kind of a neat event and make it a little more interesting. So.
It's going to be sick. Wrigley Field is unbelievable. I got to go for the first time this past summer, and it was just a great day. So I'm really excited for that.
So Kyle,
it'll be fun. Yeah.
I couldn't have you on the show without asking you about my favorite player outside of the NHL right now, and that's Macklin Celebrini. You and I both know, because we talk about this all the time. I watch BU all the time. I'm always sending you new texts about Ryan Green, who's another guy that I just absolutely love. But it's just been such a joy to watch Macklin Celebrini this year. The maturity in his game at the center position has just been, it's just crazy to me to watch a 17-year-old do this kind of thing. How many viewings have you had a chance to put on Macklin this year? And do you see a lot of those qualities that I've seen, at least, and that the reason people are talking about him for the top overall pick, which is realistically something that could go your way again this year? I mean, I'm hoping it does. I would love to see that happen. I think that 1-2 punch for a long time would be pretty impressive, but I just love this guy. I can't talk about him enough.
Yeah, I've seen him. So I went over World Junior, so I saw him there. I did see him with the Steel. It was an easy, viewing before his draft year. And so I'd seen the Steel and him quite a bit while he was playing in the USHL and then at BU as well. So I've kind of seen him in a number of different environments. And like you said, super impressive player, young player for college hockey, and having a fantastic year. And so, it's it's another good draft, and it's been a tough year, on the ice for us, but hopefully we can get, a nice player with our pick this year. It's another strong draft at the top. And so, anyone that either wins the lottery or is picking, in those top 3, 4, 5, they're going to see some nice talent coming into their organization.
Kyle, I got a two-parter for you here. So me, along with basically every other fan in the NHL, loved your on the street video in Chicago, or in Nashville, excuse me, the Kyle from Chicago video. One, I just want to ask you, like, how much fun in the moment was knowing that was going to probably blow up? Like, you knew what you were doing with that video. And then I just got to ask you, as a GM, like, in that instance, you weren't recognized, but what's like the weirdest place where you've been recognized and maybe got stuck in a conversation with somebody?
So in that interview, I honestly, it was just sort of spur of the moment. It wasn't like some planned out thing. I just thought it was kind of fun to mess with this person that was, doing the interview. And it did go pretty big there that weekend. And I still hear about it to this day. It's, I feel like people know me more for that than anything that I've done with the Blackhawks, which is kind of funny, but that's social media for you, I guess. But yeah, no, it was, just a fun thing and spur of the moment. I wasn't really thinking about where it would go from there, but it obviously went a lot of places. And then I just don't get recognized that much.
Really?
It's not, no, like if I'm at a Blackhawks game, like obviously there's fans who will know who you are, but I can't really think of anything too crazy, like maybe a junior game or something. But again, you're in a hockey environment. It's not like I'm out for dinner and people stop. And no, nothing like that.
You just go to the local Chipotle and no one says a thing?
Zero. No. I'm totally I'm anonymous. It's fine. It's good. Like, if people come up to me, that's fine. That's great too. But no, I think people are probably, when they do meet me in person, they're probably struck that, I do seem I look pretty young, and, for a general manager, I guess I am. But I don't know. I just one of those things. I'm not. People aren't stopping me on the street or anything. Every once in a while, in the springtime when I'm, my wife and I are walking the baby, sometimes some guy on a bike will go by and like, Kyle, I'll get one of those. Is like guy flies by, but again, that's Chicago. I live pretty close to the United Center, so I'm sort of in the territory where I would get recognized, from. So, but yeah, no, I'm not getting recognized in some random place or anything out of the ordinary. That's for sure.
Well, look, it's not necessarily a bad thing because
better off.
I lived in Chicago for a couple of years, and the more people started to recognize me from the TV, the less nice it got for me when I would go places that people wanted to give me their 2 cents about things that I said on TV. So I don't.
I don't take it for granted at all, and it's fine by me. Again, if people want to share their thoughts, and that's their right, and that's fine too. But it just, I guess I keep a low profile, and so it's pretty quiet on my end.
Well, I always feel lucky. I can go to Kyle for scouting advice, what he thinks about a player, baby advice, because he's about 6 months ahead of me on the baby scale. So he's like my baby advisor. When Sloan's not sleeping, I text him and get a timeline check in. So Kyle, before we let you go, I just want to give you the opportunity. Do you want to announce any trades that you guys maybe are making in the next few minutes? You want to break any news? I just want to give you the opportunity just in case. I can't imagine you do, but I at least want to give you the opportunity before we say goodbye.
Yeah, no, nothing going on right now. So
nothing.
Unfortunately, no big news for you guys live on the air, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. You never know. The deadline's always unpredictable, and I coming into it, I projected maybe a bit of a slower year than we've seen in past years. But until that deadline hits, I guess you never really know. So we'll see.
Well, we've seen this be kind of the year of the third party broker and there's been a lot of creativity. So maybe the Blackhawks will get involved in that. I know you're a creative thinker, and I know you guys have a lot of cap space to weaponize. I mean, when I talk to Blackhawks fans on social media, Kyle, like, not only is the prospect pool really coming, yeah, you drafted good players, but you see like the improvement of guys like Rinzel and Moore from semester 1 to semester 2, and Ryan Green, and all these guys are really taking these big steps that you want to see. But you also have a lot of cap space and a lot of contract flexibility timed out. And I just try to tell people, look at this from the bigger picture. I know the wins and the losses are hard right now. I get it. This is a passionate city. People love this freaking team. But from a big picture standpoint, man, the painting is on its way, and it's being done. So really appreciate your time today. Go get Gensel. Yeah, that fits right into the plan, Johnny. That fits right into it. Thanks, Kyle. We really appreciate it, and good luck in the next 48 hours with everything, and then at the draft this summer. Like I said, I'm hoping you that ping pong ball goes your way again. Although many people will be angry, but I'm hoping it goes your way, man. So thanks for coming on today. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. No, thanks for having me, guys. Glad to do it.